So with Sunny Season 14 just months away, releasing September 25th of this year, I thought I'd take a look back on how last season ended with Mac finds his pride, and how the episode was very polarizing, and people either hated the episode, or people really loved the episode. I for one stand on the loving episode. I loved it. I praise it. I feel like this is what the show needed in order to stay fresh, and to break from the repetitive Sunny Philadelphia formula. And yeah, I've seen the Wisecrack video discussing how this season uses repetitiveness and formula as satire and poking fun of the show itself. I get it, I understand it, but this season was still pretty bad nonetheless. Just because the season was self-aware in some episodes doesn't mean that they were all great. Sure, there were again some episodes in the season that worked, but a lot of it just the repetitiveness without really poking fun of itself. It was just boring in formula. Especially the episode of Charlie's Home Alone, that one was just awful. They only needed the episode for its ending, and use that ending for the next episode afterwards. That episode alone was just filler. It was pointless. If you haven't seen the episode already, stick around because I'm gonna give a very shitty and terrible ass, long, dreadful, boring ass synopsis of the episode. And if you don't want to hear that, then just go watch the episode yourself, you poor ass fuck bitch.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I just took a turn.
Just kidding. We'll be discussing it, and there will be spoilers ahead, not only for this episode, but also for The Gang Broke D and The Gang Escapes. There'll be spoilers for those two, but if you have seen those episodes, seen all of them, skip to this timestamp. And if you don't really care or give a shit about the episodes or spoilers, then keep watching. So here's a synopsis of the episode.
Give me a minute, I need to switch gears. I almost,
The episode starts off with Frank trying to break into Mac and Dennis's apartment because Frank is trying to tell something urgent to Mac. As Frank finally manages to break the door backfires and slams him in the face, which this makes for great gags and a great metaphor for the whole episode. Frank then sees a sad Mac on the couch and tells him that he has to get up and get ready for the gay pride parade. Since Frank drew the short straw, his job is to go get Mac onto the float, whereas Charlie and Dee have to make the float itself. Mac then responds that he doesn't want to do the float or the whole pride parade because he doesn't feel like a very proud gay man. Frank is confused and frustrated because now he has a sad, emotional Mac that he has to deal with and to convince to get on the float. Frank finally gives in and says, "Alright, let's go find your pride." This then leads into very colorful adventures and settings, such as a gay orgy BDSM club, which has some great comedy in it, with Frank taking out his bloody tissues from his fucked up, crushed nose and throwing it into the chicken wing buffet. They're then kicked out and go to a drag queen show, and it's a lot more colorful, lighthearted, very gay and festive, of course, all of which to no avail. Mac then confesses to Frank that he doesn't feel proud because maybe he hasn't come out to his father yet. Frank says, "Well, just come out to him then. We'll go together, you can come out to him." And Mac says, "Well, I want to do it through words, I want to do it through actions." But either way, the two still go to prison where Mac's father is located at because he is a criminal, and Mac tries to come out to him, but instead of saying it very black and white, "I'm gay, Dad," he says it through metaphor, and says that he feels internally that he is struggling with his emotions and who he is, and that he feels like he's dancing with a woman who happens to be God, and through this dance, something new is born. Mac's father interprets this as Mac having a child, and the father is excited that he'll finally have a grandson to carry on his legacy. And so he walks off, excited that he's having a grandson, even though he's not really, and ignores everything else that Mac says. The next scene is Frank trying to cure his nose still. It just gets worse and worse. He looks like Frankenstein. Charlie and Dee show off their pride float. It's amazing, it's gorgeous, and are upset that Frank can't accomplish one simple task of getting Mac on the float. So they have to find a replacement, and that replacement being the very sexy, elegant, masculine Cricket, who has worms all over his body.
Cricket!
What?
Hey!
Yeah. Yeah. What the hell, Frank? Where's Mac?
Mac's out.
Why?
Well, I think he's going back in the closet.
God damn it. You had one job. Get the gay man to dance on the gay float. It's not that hard.
Frank then sets off to find Mac again and says, "You know what? Just like my bloody nose, you just have to let the blood flow. You can't just keep trying to clog it up back and forth, back and forth. We're going to your father, and you're going to perform to him and tell him who you are and show him who you are." Frank then pays off the warden, telling him that it's going to be a Blake Shelton concert. You know, our very crystal blue-eyed, handsome, country boy.
I'm in with your nigga. I be all alone singing songs with your nigga. I be on the phone, now I'm gone with your nigga.
As Mac gets on stage and tells him that there is no Blake Shelton, that he canceled, and that instead Mac will take his place, he looks to his father and says,
Dad, I'm gay.
and the performance starts. It is gorgeous. It is a huge tonal shift previous Sunny episodes and Sunny seasons. It is amazing. From the choreography, cinematography, the music is what puts it all together. The acting, everything is amazing. Rob McElhenney put so many months into training and practicing, into dancing and getting his physique perfect for this moment. It is amazing. Again, the crescendos are crescending, everything is rising, they're dancing, and in the halfway point of the dance, we see Mac look to his father disapproving of Mac, of this performance. Mac is then saddened by this and starts to gasp a little bit or whimper. The female dancer gets up, lifts him back up to finish their performance. And he found his pride. It's beautiful.
Oh my God. I get it. I get it.
And it just ends. No jokes, no humor, just an emotional ending. But it's polarizing.
You guys suck!
And I know I'm taking your balls, you titty fuckers, but just give me 1 second before I explain. The show has a formula of always ending each episode with a joke or humor, or with, dark humor or something dramatic happening in the end. Something to the lines of Mac and Charlie beating up kids, or the gang losing their home to Mexicans after burning their apartment building. It always ends on a lighthearted note.
How's that ass feel?
Sad man.
I'm a recovering crackhead.
And it caught me completely off guard when I first saw this episode. I thought that after the performance was done, one of the cellmates would get up and say, a gay, or faggot, or pixie, or fairies, and everyone would laugh and walk off. And we see a crying Mac, and only Frank understanding it. I thought that's how it was going to end, but it didn't. Everyone applauded and cheered for Mac. And it was very different. It caught me off guard. It caught many viewers off guard. It was a breath of fresh air.
Why would I want that?
So to understand why people hated this episode so much, I took it upon the most trustworthy, honest, opinionated website known to planet Earth for my answer: Reddit. I found a Reddit thread on the episode itself, and many people had the same answer and conclusion and reasoning as to why they hated the episode, and that being that they felt that the show and show creators and writers were holding the gay community on a pedestal and not making jokes about them, even though the show is famous for making fun of everyone and anyone, as mentioned earlier in the video. This show makes fun of every political group, every person, any race, any gender, anything. No one is pedestalized, if that's a word, or no one is not made fun of. No one is isolated. Everyone is made fun of. Everyone is obliterated with these great jokes. So people believe that this episode catered more to the gay community, and it was a step backwards of the show and kind of backing up on what they did of making fun of everyone. Another reason and questions why people were confused by this episode and why it was released now is because why is Mac's coming out episode just now happening? He came out seasons ago, years ago, on that ship episode titled The Gang Goes to Hell. He came out to them and they were all nonchalant about it. They were okay with it, they were fine, they accepted him. That was the original episode of him coming out. Everyone was confused that why is this just now happening? He came out, again, seasons and years ago, and he was very confident about his sexuality, and now all of a sudden, he's not. Now he needs acceptance from his father, and now he needs to make a whole show about it in a more proper way. People are just confused. If the show creators wanted to make a proper coming out, why didn't they do it years ago?
Bullshit. Bullshit. Derivative. That I love. I absolutely love.
That's just same old shit every day.
I want it. It's everything.
It makes sense for Mac to come out twice, once to his friends and one to his dad, because he didn't come out to his dad yet. Duh, the fuck. End of argument. Mac acts different towards each person. Yeah, he still acts obviously the same, but like in real life, people will act differently towards certain people. A good example, I guess, it's a personal example, and I know that's not really great for arguments, but I had to fucking say it. With one friend group, I'll curse more with them, make more sexual jokes, and with another friend group that doesn't really like cursing, I'll like tone myself down and work around with my jokes. I'm not taking anything away from me, it's just some friends I know they don't like cursing that much, don't like me saying some bad words. And I don't mind it because I don't get offended by it. Different people, I'm gonna act differently or act different towards them. And with Mac, when he came out, obviously he had a hard time coming out to his friends, but once he did, he felt more comfortable around them and he started getting loose with them and being more flamboyant and more open about his sexuality. Now with his father figure, someone who's so close to him, and as seen in previous episodes, that he has such huge respect for his father and would do anything, including shoving coke up his friend's ass or up his own ass to break it into jail.
What do you guys know about smuggling heroin through your anus? You guys are fast. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Dad.
He'll do anything for his dad and holds his dad on a pedestal. He has such high regards of his father. He respects his dad. So it makes sense that Mac will have a harder time coming out or explaining to his father his sexuality and who he is. Especially since episodes that we've seen of them two interacting, Mac and his father have a hard time communicating with words. This is why it took Mac so long to come out to his father, because as we've seen again, that Mac and his father have terrible communication skills, especially in this episode where his father thought he was actually having a kid, even though he's not. This is why Mac wanted to do a gigantic performance for his father, because words just don't work with his family. Especially with his mother, who's always watching TV and smoking, she ignores everyone. She ignores Mac and what he has to say. His father at least talks to him, but still doesn't understand who he is or even wants to listen to him. And with a visual performance like this and so bombastic, his father can't ignore him anymore. His father has to face the facts and see who Mac truly is and who Mac wants to be as a man and as a person. And time again, we always see that Mac again holds his father on a pedestal. For the past seasons and past episodes, we see that he has such high regards and praise towards his father. It makes sense that he would come out twice, once to his friends and one to his parents, because with your friends, it's a bit more easier, you're a bit more looser with them, you're a bit more comfortable with them. And with your parents, if they don't accept you, it's more gut-wrenching. They're your bloodline that doesn't accept you. Approval from your friends, but if they don't, oh well, friends can be replaced, who cares? But you only have one dad and one mom. So it makes sense that two people he has such high regards for, especially his dad, that he would want his approval and his acceptance of who he is. It just makes more sense in that way. When we see that his father walks off stage and disapproves, we have Mac who's just saddened and sobbing on the floor, but continues dancing, continues with this female dancer and this choreography, and continues with this performance up until the end. Even though his father doesn't approve of him, he still accepts what kind of gay man he wants to be. He still moves on, chugs along, and accepts who he is. He accepts what kind of man he is. He came out to his father, and he is proud of who he is. That's what makes this episode phenomenal. It's a tonal change, it's some character growth, and I love it. Now, Just because there's character growth or tonal change doesn't mean that this show has to keep doing this over and over and over. Obviously, it can repeat with its Sunny Philadelphia formula, but I would just like to see more moments like this, or the gang broke D, or the gang escapes. Because in those 2 episodes, we get some victories again. We see Dee is finally accepted with her friend group. We see that her friends will do anything they can to mentally destroy her or break her as a joke, just so they can get her back to being angry and hyper and just sporadic.
Alright, so we got Dee back, and I think we may have broke Dennis. Broke me? Nah, come on, I'm good. I love all this. This is great. I'm gonna pop out for a little while. He's not.
You can see how either dark these people can really be, or how humorous and loving they can actually be. Just sprinkle in some moments like this. I'm not saying that this show has to end on a positive, happy ending. It can end like Seinfeld, where a group of friends end up in jail. Their conversation ends with the same one they had in the very first episode. It just shows that these characters will always be who they are.
See, now to me that button's in the worst possible spot. The second button literally makes or breaks the shirt. Look at it. It's too high. It's in no man's land. You look like you live with your mother.
Are you through?
You do, of course, try on when you buy.
Yes, it was purple. I liked it. I don't actually recall considering the button.
Oh, you don't recall. See, now to me that button is in the worst possible spot.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The second button is the key button. It literally makes or breaks the shirt. Look at it. It's too high. It's in no man's land.
Haven't we had this conversation before?
You think?
I think we have.
Yeah, maybe we have.
And that's it. It's not happy, it's not a bad ending. It's just, oh yeah, these people deserve to be in jail. And they'll always be like this because they're assholes. It can end like that for Sunny. It can however it wants to. But if you want me to keep watching the show, add some flair, spice it up, or just catch me off guard, that's it. Because when the season came out originally, months ago, or years ago, I forgot when it came out, the first 2 episodes kind of bored me, so I just stopped watching it. And when the season ended, and I was on YouTube, there was a little recommendation that said, Mac finds his pride dance. And I was like, oh, it's probably going to end on a joke, or it's not going to be taken serious, because why is he just shirtless dancing with a woman with a black backdrop? It seems so dramatic, so over the top, it's going to end on a cheesy joke, I can tell. So I click it, watch it anyways. It's emotional, but in the back of my head I'm still thinking there's going to be some joke after this. And the clip just ends. And that was amazing. I was so amazed and surprised they did this, and this made me want to rewatch the whole season. I was still disappointed, but I was glad that this show can continue and grow and become something more. Hell, even the show creators know that what they're doing is repetitive. That's what most of the episodes in the season did. They made fun of the repetitiveness. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. But again, that's for another video. I'm glad the show is being meta and making fun of itself in some episodes. Again, some of it working, some not. And hopefully the show continues to do stuff like this, take more risks, because again, it's renewed for 2 more seasons, and maybe more after that. I don't want to keep watching this. Just because you're self-aware that your show is being repetitive, that's not a good reason for me to keep watching. Oh yeah, we know that we're making some boring episodes, but here you go. Like, if they want to keep doing that, fine. I just don't have to watch it, you know? I can just ignore it completely. But I just don't want to be disappointed that a show is going down this path of repetitiveness. Just end on a strong note or grow. That's it. But see ya.